Dodd-Frank is the law which Congress enacted in July of 2010, designed to address the many problems and regulatory shortcomings that we saw prior to the crisis in the years leading up to the 2008 financial crisis. Some of the good things that have happened as a result of Dodd-Frank, one is that we created a new consumer bureau designed to write mortgage lending standards. We have the Volcker Rule, which is designed to prohibit banking organizations which have access to the safety net, access to deposit insurance, to the Federal Reserve's lending facilities, to prohibit them from doing high-risk trading for their own account. We have one priority that I've worked on a lot, which I think is very essential, is tougher capital standards. They're not as tough as they should be, I think, but they are tougher. We are safer. I think the system's more stable. There are new challenges that we didn't confront in 2008, but certainly there is more capital. There's less leverage, less reliance on debt, not quite as far as we need to go, but we do have that. We have better tools now in terms of if a bank does fail, how to handle it without resort to taxpayer bailouts. Those are important things. Well, there are a lot of challenges still. I think Dodd-Frank implementation has been very, very slow. Here it's 4 years later, and I think most of the tracking systems that are out there say, at best half of the rules have been finalized. And some of the most important rules, as I mentioned, capital requirements, those are very much mid-process. They have not been completely finished yet. We still have a problem with too big to fail. We have institutions that are even larger in an industry that's more concentrated than prior to the crisis. I think those institutions are a bit safer. We have better regulation of them, more capital, but they are still very large. Money funds were a big problem during the crisis. They proved themselves to be unstable. Money market fund reform has been identified by a council of regulators called the Financial Stability Oversight Council as a key systemic risk. Another problem we saw during the crisis was that banks relied too much on short-term funding, so they were relying too much on debt. They were also relying too much on short-term debt. So instead of issuing multi-year debt that would be stable, they would just borrow continuously, sometimes just overnight, over and over again, which is a very volatile situation. And if the markets become under duress, creditors don't want to lend you anymore. It is distressing to me that there hasn't been a greater sense of urgency, that this hasn't been done immediately as opposed to just taking a long time. And in fairness to the regulators, there's been a tremendous amount of industry lobbying against these rules, and sometimes Congress weighs in and puts pressure on the regulators to back down. And those are not helpful things, which is why the general population really does need to engage on these issues.